From the top rope, this is the Squared Circus.
Square! Ah! That's the cult phenomenon. You know what I think?
Recording in progress.
I realize I like paint.
That was a botch. Hold on.
So, anyway, that's how it's gonna go.
All right. So, welcome to our show. And we will now go to picture-in-picture. Well,
Picture-in-picture is always the highlight of Dynamite and Rampage.
I think there were 5 last night on Dynamite.
Yeah, I'm curious to see now how many Rampage on, because they do a lot of picture-in-picture, and you can never tell on that little ass screen. So I don't know why they say it's so great, because I can never pay attention at all.
I don't watch
But anyway.
Every now and then I'll try to watch it, but it's like an effort, you know?
I never realized how much Subway I want.
Oh, God. That's the worst thing about, I don't know, just the ads.
Yeah.
It's torture.
But I will say this was actually a much better Dynamite than the previous is, in my eyes.
So I think, you know, it's one of those things we're obviously going to bitch about a lot of stuff. But as I was watching Dynamite, and I'm sure you feel the same, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it a lot more than I've enjoyed it in the past. But I think in large part that was due to the crowd. The crowd made it feel important.
Yes.
Some of the matches that just seemed like, oh, yeah, fine. They were just like, the crowd was up for everything.
Yeah, they were cheering. It definitely depends on where they're at, because and also too, I've had many tickets are sold, because that last one when they had, I think I mentioned it to you, it was all light because they actually sold all the tickets. But then the last episode, it was all dark because they had like half the shit was empty, so they had to make sure that it didn't show.
They had to have
that half the stuff was empty.
The whole upper tier had to be dark, had to be blacked out, so you couldn't see that it was empty. It was something like 2,000-ish people last week in DC, and this time in Toronto it was like over 7,000, I think. So I mean,
it definitely made a difference.
And it was they were just hyped up, man. So it made it feel great. So before we get into the negative, I just want to say, yeah, you know, I enjoyed it for the most part. But if this same show was in DC a week ago, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. Because it just would have felt like
the end, and I probably would have. But we'll get to that later.
Me too.
But
just overall, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to say that before we start, because we're going to nitpick it a lot. But like as we were watching, I think we both enjoyed it.
Yes.
One other thing, I'm trying. Me personally, I don't speak for you, Richie. I'm trying really hard not to shit on anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. I probably won't. There's going to be a few people I'm going to shit on.
I know, and I end up doing it sometimes because I get heated. Like, you know, I just want. Really, there's not a lot of people I just can't stand watching. There's one person whose name I'm not going to say, who I just never, ever fucking want to see wrestle ever again. I don't want to hear him talk. I don't want to hear him talk. I don't want to see him wrestle. I don't know why anybody thinks this guy is worth a fucking red cent. So
he was part of the show, so I'm sure we're gonna have to anyway. Yeah, we'll get to his name when he was part of the show.
Yeah, this wrestler who shall not be named.
By me. As of me, I do feel like I'm probably gonna shit on a few people just because. But I think I told this many times, is that I know certain people I don't like, but I still know that the crowd loves them. So therefore, at least I respect that. Or at least I know that, oh, well, they get pops. The crowd loves them. Yeah. So I don't see it, but at least the crowd loves them. So they're still getting a good show for them.
Some of those guys for me are just like, I'll name somebody right now, like Wardlow. I don't think Wardlow's bad. He has a certain charisma, right? But his booking made me not really care about his matches and made me not want to see him wrestle. But I still think he's decent and the crowd loves him.
to me, it was like the whole security shit. We
I
talked
hated
about that
that.
in the past. Oh yeah, that was. But and then now Joe, my favorite wrestler. But anyway, so we were.
So yeah. So that said, let's move on. We'll talk about the show. I actually took fucking notes. Oh, one other thing. Oh, sorry. Before we go into that, I also want to put it out there, like before, because now that this guy is starting to show up all of a sudden again, and I'm gonna inevitably probably say some shitty thing about him. I obviously these people are all working hard. They're all way more talented than either of us, and I understand that. And Richie, I'm sure I can speak for you when I say you understand that. So when we're saying we don't want to see them, it doesn't necessarily reflect on their lack of talent or hard work, but it's a sense of justice when you're watching a roster full of people who are talented and some of them are not getting pushed, and you see somebody who you think is not as deserving as the person who's not getting pushed. You're like, why? This is frustrating. There's a million great wrestlers out there. Why do you have to have this person on TV? And of course, everything is not for everybody. This guy is not for me. I understand that. It's hard to explain why if I don't talk about him, but like people have different tastes. People want different things out of wrestling. What this guy brings to wrestling, I don't want.
So on that note, let's on to the bullshit.
All right. So the first thing that happened last night for us is Wednesday. Whenever you're hearing this is probably like 3 days later because we're so slow, because we have jobs and other things to do. And this shit takes time. First thing, Renee intro. Brilliant.
Did nothing, but I'm glad to have her back.
Yeah, but just like introing her gave her this importance that I think was great because she brings us a level of professionalism. She brings a certain legitimacy. And so giving her that intro and showcasing her that way, I think, gives AEW a little bit of rub from her professionalism and legitimacy. What I do hope
that she does.
Go ahead.
More call.
Yeah, I hope she
does more ring announcements and things like that, not just like be in the back like another Mark Henry on Wednesday.
No, I know. I hope that she actually ends up behind the announcer's desk at some point because I don't want her just
especially
doing
for the female division.
Just in general, just put. I found out recently. I guess Dasha actually does commentary in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Which is cool. I didn't realize that. But anyway, so it was great to see Renee out there. Big pop. Perfect place to intro her, Canada, because she's Canadian. And then she she brings out Christian, and he does some heel stuff, leading to the first match, which is Kaneosaurus.
So let's on to the bullshit.
Versus Jungle Boy.
So let's go on to. We got all the positive shit now. On to the bullshit. Now I understand the crowd likes this. I'm so sorry. I have to get this off my chest first.
Go. Let it go.
I thought that it was a good match. I really did, but I still thought that the ship has sunk with this. They should have done this a while ago.
Ship has sailed. Ship has sailed. I believe. You just took ship has sailed. How do you? No. Just let's talk about that for 1 second. I believe that ship has sunk. You just took it and just added this level of negativity to it.
That's right. Because I did not give a shit about this match anymore because I feel like they killed both people. They had such a good thing with both of them as a team. And then when they split them up, I feel like it's like you don't really give a shit about either one of them anymore. And I know the crowd liked it. Yes, I get that. So therefore it's fine. They got what they wanted. But I feel like they're not as popular or not as special now that they're separated. And no one wants to see Kaneosaurus. They really don't. He's exactly, they do the whole fire thing like him and this and that. And he even had a good match. Like he did have a good match that match. But they just ruined.
Yeah. No, I think they ruined their characters by splitting them up. They were perfect together. They're doing the thing with Jungle Boy where now they always have to make sure they call him Jack Perry. They can never just say Jungle Boy. So trying to move him away from the gimmickiness and make him more serious. And he's going to get serious now and have serious matches and no more gimmick.
He's fighting at Dino.
And yeah, there's no, just a fucking dinosaur is not a heel. It's a silly gimmick, which is very fun and charming and enjoyable when it's a baby face. But come on, dumb. But I really enjoyed the match, and I thought they both were great. I was really impressed with Luchasaurus because I'd seen him here and there before AEW. He would show up, but I didn't see him a whole lot. Like he would show up in Ring of Honor here and there. But mostly he'd been in a tag team. And so I was worried if they split him up, he was just going to be like that big guy who is like, does like, bats cleanup in the tag team, comes in and cleans house, but solo, he's not going to have the moves. He's not going to have, that thing you need to carry a match. Like a lot of big guys when you split him up. But he was great. And I really enjoyed the match. The crowd was really up for it too. I agree with you. It felt a little bit too little too late. Like they just kind of, drag this thing out. And then I don't know, are they dragging out more?
I'm sure they will.
But
I want to see how much Kanosaurus turns, because I want to see, because he did a face, then turn, then heel, then face, and again heel. I'm wondering if he's trying to do the whole Big Show thing, because Big Show always did the whole face turn so many millions of times. Like I said, it was a decent match. I actually enjoyed it as well.
The ending was dumb. There was no reason. First of all, number one, like interference ending. I think more than half of the matches on this show had endings that
there was
were
only
not
one
clean.
match I didn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So pleased with that already. Clean finishes, please. Come on. I mean, it was a subtle one because Christian kind of just like snuck up onto the apron while Jungle Boy was on the top rope and did the distraction thing, and that gave Luchasaurus a second to like do a thing, and he wins. And it's just like, I don't understand why you build this whole thing up just to have Jungle Boy lose, have the babyface lose.
Yeah, that was a very, very odd ending for me, because I thought since he got squashed the last time, what was the point of having him lose? Because you already deflated the crowd then right away, instantly. Because now, for all the positivity that we're talking about, that leads on to the next match.
No, but we need to talk about this just for another second, because there's nothing fucking stupider to me. Just like squash the babyface, like just utterly squash him, and then have him lose again in a real match. What's the point of that? What was the point of the squash? It makes no sense.
I was wondering if he got hurt. I wonder if he was hurt, and that's why they had to do it the way they did it, and that's why he disappeared for a little bit. But it definitely seemed odd.
And it's just more feels like WWE with the interference ending and like the big guy beating up the little guy. Again, that's a thing that they're going to too much. I don't need to see this. Nobody cares. There's never going to be an award-winning movie about a big guy who beats up a little guy. How was that compelling? The little baby, and it's just like wrestling 101. Little baby face, underdog, becomes victorious in the end. Just too much of the big guy beating up the smaller guy. Stop it.
Yeah.
Next, what do we have after that? We hear from MJF.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. It was a good promo.
I don't think that happened yet, but they had that teaser, like we hear from, and it was good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But definitely,
the next one was the Wardrobe match.
After that, before Wardrobe, what do we have? One of the greatest 3 minutes in wrestling you could ever have. Picture in picture.
It was, yes. That happens a lot. I hope that they get a new network that they don't have that bullshit.
I fucking hate it.
But I feel that if they're going to have picture in picture, they should put them all together for this next match.
Yeah. Hold on, wait. Before that match, we had another backstage thing. Stokely and Ethan Page did a backstage thing with a private party.
Oh.
Private parties, I guess, turning babyface.
They remind me of the Street Profits.
Yeah, I don't know the timeline there, because obviously they were doing indie stuff. But that's neither here nor there. They're fine. They're doing the whole thing where like Stokely's doing like, I bought up the contract for these people, but we'll have a match and you can win the contract back. I don't know. It was fine, whatever it was. Then we went to another. Oh, then we had your match. But first there was an in-ring promo from QT Marshall or Marshall.
Marshall. Is that really how you say it?
It depends Marshall? Who says it.
Oh.
I've heard it both ways. The one thing I liked about this, though, is like he made fun of the name Ward Joe.
Yeah.
Right. This leads to the factory versus the Ward Joe. He's like, are you that lazy? You can't come up with a better name than Ward Joe? And thank you, QT Marshall, saying what we're thinking. Ward Joe is a dumb, lazy name. Swerve in Our Glory is a dumb, easy name. Come up with some names. Put 30 seconds of like thought into these creative ideas. Ward Joe. Stupid.
I would like to say, if anyone wants a Samoa Joe shirt in large, hit me up.
we can promo your eBay whatever.
But yeah, it was okay match. The crowd loves them, so I'm not gonna make fun of them because these are two people I don't like, but yet the crowd loves them. They chant his names, they chant their names all the time, so like I can't really be mad at it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't like either one of them.
These are two guys, Ward Joe, who are like, I'm not necessarily interested in, but like, yeah, I don't hate on it. The crowd loves it. And it's enjoyable enough just to see the crowd enjoy them,
Yes. The one thing that really kind of irks me with all federations that do this is that when they put two people who own different belts into a tag team match.
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know what, let them do different matches then and because then it goes back to the whole thing where, this person was champ 400 days. Well, if you have him tag teamed with this other person who's champion too, and now they're doing all these tag team matches, they're not even defending them, but yet they're still getting, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't like when like they add two people with that.
It's such a conundrum because it's like, obviously like they've got these two guys who are really over and they have to do something with them. But like they don't have anything for them, and if they make them singles matches, that just like spreads everything a little bit more thin. So like I get it, they're trying to get these guys in there, but it still feels like just throw some two random guys together. But I don't know. It was fine. I didn't hate the match. They've been doing this for like maybe a month or two now. I don't know when Nick Camarado became a pimp. I don't hate it, but like it just came out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, Nick Camarado just like a pimp now. He was like an accountant. I believe he was an accountant in real life.
Yeah.
But that would have been that's a better gimmick.
I think the best thing about that match was FTR coming out at the end.
Was that this one?
Yeah, they came out, and that's when they were saying how I think they were going against they were. Was it the factory? And then that's when 10 came out. Okay.
So yeah, at the end of the match, so it was a bit of a squash match, and they didn't get to do the Powerbomb Symphony, so they did it after the match, and then that brought out. What's that?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, when Wardlow just keeps power bombing somebody over and over. It's Powerbomb Symphony. That's why he does like the little conductor fingers.
Oh, that's retarded. Okay.
But we're not using that word.
Nope. No, we're not.
So then the person who will not be named comes out with some other people.
So you don't want to go on your tangent.
I have this is my notes. This is actually what I wrote in my notes. Oh no, he's gonna talk. Nobody seems to care about this.
For anyone who wants to know.
No, nobody wants to know.
Okay. Go ahead.
Knowing things just makes people
go read from your notes.
Doesn't help anybody.
One thing I would like to add is that when Dax came out and he motioned his arms to say that he had goosebumps from the crowd, because the crowd popped when they came out.
Dude.
So he actually motioned his arm saying, I got goosebumps coming out, because they haven't been around that much. Like they just started coming out again because for some reason Khan wasn't booking them. So when the crowd went nuts, he I kind of like that, because I'm sure he probably did.
It was great. They came out and it was great. That was great. I didn't even notice that, but I love that they did that. Now that you talk about it, got a huge pop, and then they talked about somebody they're gonna do like a 3-way match with FTR versus the 3 whoever's on Friday, and they're gonna have one other guy who's like a Canadian, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, who's a Canadian that could be? Could it be Sean Spears? It's like, oh, it's like he's a perfect 10 and he's a Canadian. I'm like, I don't think Dark Order 10 is Canadian, but Sean Spears. But why would they call back to his WWE gimmick? But then Sean Spears came out. And I guess Sean Spears is a babyface now, which is fine. I really like Sean Spears.
Yeah, I like him too. I like him a lot.
And something I didn't realize.
Too.
Who does?
The crowd loves him too.
Yeah, well, he's. I think he's from Ontario, so they were in Toronto. So
he gets chanted a lot though in a lot of areas.
Oh, okay.
They love the 10 chants and shit like that. I think he's respected in a lot of areas.
And he's been gone long enough where I think like coming back as a babyface doesn't seem weird. And to do it in Toronto is the way to do it. So that was cool. I keep forgetting. I heard this on another review that they were like, oh, they're getting back together the Pinnacle people, FTR and Sean Spears. And I keep forgetting that was a thing. Like Wardlow.
Yeah, that too.
Because they came out, after a Wardlow match with FTR, and it just seems random to me. And then Sean Spears comes out, and it seems random. Like, oh yeah, this is like the Pinnacle people turning babyface. I don't know. It would be nice for them. What's that?
Was Wardlow in that?
Yeah, remember he was MJF's like bodyguard.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know. That's fine. But it's nice to know that. It would be nice if they said something like this is one of those things where like a general AEW problem. I'm going to talk about this a lot where the announcers don't explain things. I forgot about that. It seemed like a flash in the pan. It's just explain it. Oh, their old Pinnacle buddy, blah, blah. Maybe they said it. We were talking. I shouldn't say they didn't explain it. I don't know if they did. You and I were talking through this whole thing to each other, so I didn't hear a lot of the announcers.
I didn't hear that either. I'm pretty sure they didn't, to be honest with you, because I didn't hear anything. Because I had it on my earpiece, but I also had the TV going, and I pretty much heard, and I had the subtitles. So like I heard like pretty much everything that they were saying.
So after that,
I said, it was okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind it at all. FTR always gets me hyped up too. They're just great.
Yeah.
And introducing Sean Spears there was actually really cool. So after that, we had another backstage promo with Jericho and 2.0. This was one because I had you on the phone, so I didn't have the TV that loud, but I could hear everything. If we weren't talking, I could hear what's going on. I could not understand what the fuck Daddy Magic was saying in this backstage promo, because he was doing this like loud talking and low talking. He was trying to do this dynamics thing, and I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? I didn't understand a word of it. I don't remember what happened. Jericho talked about the whole Ring of Honor being Ring of Jericho, and he's going to destroy the legacy of Ring of Honor. That's fine. They're advancing this story. It was what it was. No problems there. After that, we had Swerve Strickland versus Daddy Ass. I liked this match.
It was a good match. Of course, it was another match that they had a dirty win.
Yes.
The only match that match that was actually clean, I think, was the one with Wardlow. Sorry, is that match was right. The only one that was clean win. This one it was another dirty win, right. but
this one it worked, right?
Yeah, and Billy Ass was actually really good.
Yeah, no, he looked really good.
Called him Billy Ass.
Billy Ass looked great, but this one worked because they're like Swerve has this, and he did the cheating himself. It wasn't outside interference. To me, that's a little more legit. And it wasn't like, I'm going to go and get a thing and hit you on the head with it. It was just like, they called him Sneaky Swerve. He did a little sneaky thing at the end of the match to get to get the win when the ref wasn't looking. And it was one of those things where it's like, Billy Gunn doesn't need to win any matches, right? Like it was a good build and it was a good match. It was a good pairing. But having Billy Gunn win doesn't do anything. So you kind of have to have Swerve win, but I also think you kind of have to have him cheat in this instance too, because the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass are so over. You don't really want to have him just lose straight out in this one, and because it's both kind of mid carders, I don't know, like it worked. That worked for me.
I didn't like the whole. I know maybe some people.
I didn't
like
the
I didn't like the whole
either.
thing.
I didn't even realize there was a hole, but now that you mentioned it,
well,
like
no, with Sterling when he sat there and purchased the trademark for Scissor Me, and now we're gonna have to deal with that bullshit that he owns the right now to say the word Scissor Me or use a scissor hand gesture. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so now we have to deal with that. I don't know. I just thought that was like, I'm not down with that. But
it seems silly, but I don't know. I mean, they're building the next rivalry. They've given a little bit of a push to Tony Nese and Josh Woods. See, this is kind of feels like wrestling 101 to me, so it kind of works. Like you've got this champion tag team, the Acclaimed. They need a new opponent, so you take these two heels, give them just enough of a push, just a couple of wins and some TV time to do some promos, just to get them over enough to lose to the baby faces. Like, to me, it works. It doesn't have to be brilliant. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just because they just won, and like obviously like I get it, it's storytelling or whatever for taking away what they're known for and stuff like that, but it's just gonna be like, okay, get it over with for me.
you know, like it's gonna be such a big pop though, I think, when they do it, and there's nothing Mark Sterling can do about it. He says he can sue them, but like nobody's getting sued on national TV, right? Like
no,
they're gonna say, fuck you, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's not scripted, isn't it? But you know what I mean? Like they're gonna have, he's gonna say, you can't say that, I'll sue you, and they'll do it anyway, and it'll be great. It'll be a pop, I think. But I mean, and the crowd was up for this. They did their scissor me, daddy.
That was up for everything that happened.
Yeah, but this match especially,
was up for everything.
And they brought out the Acclaim to do the entrance with him, which I thought was a good idea.
Yes, it was.
People had their like cardboard scissors in the crowd. It was great. Billy Gunn kept pretending to like show his ass, like he was pretending to pull his trunks down, do these stripper moves.
Yeah, I thought it was going to say Mr. Ass on him.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I don't know if he doesn't have the trademarks or something.
And when he was about to do like the suck it move, but instead he did like double scissors.
yeah.
That was
you can tell he's happy as shit doing this role. Like this is like he's probably like. He is the happiest. He looks like a little kid having the time of his life doing this.
It's impossible not to enjoy it. That will always be fun. That will always be enjoyable. After that, we had MJF backstage, which like, is MJF ever bad in a promo?
No, he's not. He's very good. And they did the whole face thing and then heel thing again.
Yeah.
But he's always good. I think he's always, I like the way, because I know people get mad that he doesn't wrestle that much. I like that. I like the fact that it almost makes it more of a special attraction, because his last match was really good. And so I like the fact that he comes out, does promos and that, and you only see him randomly.
Yeah, well, because the promos are still great. So it's not just like he's coming out and doing a promo and it feels like forced or feels like filler or just like a throwaway thing just to get him on TV. The promos are an event when he does it. So when he wrestles, it's actually an even bigger deal. So I think it works for him. And he makes it work because he knows how to work it, you know? And I like this, like his weird, like, is he a baby face? Like, I don't think he's necessarily turning into a baby face, but they're making him a heel with vulnerabilities and relatableness. Like, you can still be a heel and have that backstory. Like he talked about punching his own reflection in the mirror, you know, like what Henry Rollins on that Black Flag album cover, right? He
was in the news. Did you see him that he was in the news for with this whole tyrant against Kanye West?
No.
Yeah, because Kanye West said something about Jewish people, and then of course MGF stuck up for that, and he actually said he got out of character. He actually broke out of the character and said a couple things, and people were trying to get him at it, and they were trying to compare certain things. He's like, "Are you that like dumb?" Like it was really cool. You have to look it up though, but
I'll look it up.
Good for him. I think it's good for MGF for that. I know that's just like a side note, but I just kind of enjoyed the fact that what he said was he still broke his, because he's normally always, this is like, we haven't said this enough, that he's always in character. Every Twitter, this and that, like anything he does, he's always in character, but he broke character and said, nuh-uh. And he stuck up for the Jewish people and stuck up for everything. And I can't believe we have fucking 9 minutes left and we still have the whole half the show left.
I know. But one other thing about MGF, I like what they're doing. Like, to me, this is a Batman villain, right? Like, they're still villains, they're still doing bad things. He talks about, nice guys finish last, so I have to, do what I have to do. The ends justify the means. I'll do whatever it takes to finish first. But like, he has all this turmoil. It's like that Batman villain who's like, oh, I have this whole backstory that's kind of tragic and would like probably ruin the normal person, but I dealt with it by becoming evil. So I think that works. So next was Mox. Mox comes in, big pop with the entrance. I'm not a big fan of his entrance song, but people sing along, so that's fine. Does a promo in the ring. Almost always good. Every now and then Mox is like, he's never bad, but sometimes he's great, sometimes he's good. So this was good. He was real high energy. He was feeding off the crowd, especially in the beginning. I thought that was great. Hangman Page comes in.
That was an amazing post. That was an amazing promo. Sorry.
This promo, I thought, was just fucking great.
It was probably the best promo that he ever did.
I think so. First of all, go ahead.
I have to say, I have found out something very important about Hangman Page.
Oh.
Because what I heard through the grapevine is that cowboy shit is a lifestyle and mentality.
Right, that's what my girlfriend said.
Oh, really? Is that where I heard it from? I just want to let you know. I know I did.
My girlfriend,
I'm just being silly,
who has a celebrity crush on Hangman Page.
She said it is, because I asked her what is cowboy shit, and she said it is a lifestyle and mentality. So I got taught a lesson about Hangman Page.
Well, she is a teacher.
Yes. So, and I got taught.
Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead.
This was just great. First of all, I think like it was a good promo, regardless of context. But the context too was like it built on his whole arc of being kind of like I forget who used the phrase, but like anxious millennial cowboy. Right. And the whole idea of him having like a drinking problem, but not in a way that's just like a guy who hangs out at bars and starts fights. Like you might picture Mox, like a kind of tough guy, but like a guy who is very self-reflective and introspective, right? Not a typical wrestler who's just like a tough guy who likes to start fights, but a guy who's sensitive. And not everybody like that. I like it because I think it's relatable, because I think it's new as far as like a wrestler gimmick goes. So I like the idea that they managed to keep that motif, but still make him like angry and building on that whole past 3 years of presenting him as that character and just taking it to the next level, and adding this level of not just anger, but like righteous indignation to it. I fucking loved it. I just thought it was brilliant. And it to me, it made him like relevant again. Not that I ever felt that he was irrelevant, but a lot of people did.
What I enjoyed about it the most was that both of them did a good promo where they still promoted each other. They didn't really knock each other down. They still actually gave praise to each other, which still just a little knock. You know what I'm saying? Like, where, because even during the Page promo, he was actually boosting up because I know you're a good father and this, like to Mox. So he was still praising him about his work, but then all of a sudden took it back to him and saying, I'm this way. So it was just, to me, I thought it was good because they kind of made both of them get over.
Yeah. No, great promos put the other guy over, but still making them look like a threat. So yeah, I thought this worked on every level. I have some notes here that don't make any sense that obviously were auto-corrected to words I don't understand. So we're gonna.
Well, that is good. We are gonna go with no more notes next time.
I did like where he was like punched himself until he started.
That reminded me almost like a Roddy Piper.
Yeah, that's true.
That's when I saw that. It reminded me of Roddy Piper. I was like, oh, okay, I can see where this is kind of going.
My last note on this was Julia wants Hangman's pants. He had those little frills down the side and little stars with like frills in the front, like.
Because you know why? It's cowboy shit is a mentality and a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Pants.
And pants. No, pants is part of it.
So, but anyway, good promo. The next was the I believe it was and Brian. Yeah, it was all right. It was a good match. I started off. Thought it would be better, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The two talents, but it was okay.
I thought they did a good job with the little video package in front and showing all the old Ring of Honor footage of Bryan Danielson, especially because the whole idea is like Jericho is here to destroy the legacy of Ring of Honor. So showing all these great moments of Jericho, of Danielson in Ring of Honor was cool. Again, Ian Riccaboni on commentary. They had all the Ring of Honor people there, the ring announcer, the ref. I like that they do that. Even for a match like this, that is like, almost a AEW main event match, they still keep the Ring of Honor aspect to it. One thing I loved was, so Jericho came out, Judas starts playing, and then it gets cut off after a few seconds and comes in with what I think is his old music. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's the Lionheart music.
The Lionheart music, which sounded like White Zombie to me. But then, like a couple minutes later, the crowd is singing Judas anyway.
Yeah, they
even though it's not playing. They're like, "Fuck this!" Because we're singing this song.
I even mentioned that. I'm like, the crowd's pissed because they wanted to sing, and then all of a sudden, after I said that, you just heard them start singing. I'm like, yeah, they're pissed.
Yeah,
they're like, fuck it, we're gonna sing it.
We had another picture.
Then they had the whole picture in picture. The fucking that one dude Garcia came out again.
So this was this was weird. This was a weird experience for me. So the ref gets knocked out. I remember saying to you, you're watching in Florida. I'm watching in San Francisco. I'm watching on TBS. You're watching on the app. And so I'm a few seconds ahead of you. And I said something like, "Oh, really?" And you're like, "What?" And then it happens. And you're like, "Oh." And it's the ref gets knocked out. And it was like, we're doing this again. Like, I'm enjoying this match. And then like, we're going to have another dirty finish. So the ref gets knocked out. And then, Taz, I think it was Taz, one of the announcers says, "I guess this is sports entertainment style," which to me, I thought was a dig. Like, we're doing this crap again.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So anyway, that's when, after that, what you were referring to, Garcia runs out, right? The ref's knocked out. Jericho's like, "Oh, well, the ref is out. I'm going to hit Danielson with the belt and win that way." So Garcia runs out and it's like, "I'm going to prevent you from doing that because I'm a babyface and I'm doing what's right." But dun, 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 what happens?
Brian hits Jericho, and I think then Garcia hits Brian with the belt, if I remember correctly. I was a little drunk then too.
Garcia hits Brian. He stops Jericho from hitting him with the belt. Garcia hits Brian with his own belt. So it's a little swerve. Get it? And
some sneaky swerves all around.
So then Brian loses. He gets pinned. The weird part of this for me was I thought it was just like, just another one of these dirty finishes. Like, I didn't know what should happen. Match number 3 between Jericho and Danielson. Jericho won the other 2. Like, why have this match now? It's like I felt like Danielson can't lose, but Jericho can't lose either because they're doing the whole, storyline where he's like taking down the legacy of Ring of Honor. It's not, that storyline isn't finished yet.
Brian's losing a lot of matches lately.
So why have Danielson lose? Basically, your top babyface next to Mox loses again, like 3 in a row. And then another dirty ending. Like, I don't know. This match didn't have to happen. It could have been somebody else. And now Garcia's babyface. Now he's not. I mean, I think a lot of you definitely called that. You actually thought he was never actually going to turn. So they kind of did what you predicted, but they just drew it out a little longer.
Yeah. I'm actually really good at calling these things.
It's ridiculous sometimes. I don't know how you predict them.
Yeah, because like a lot of times when I say something like and it happens, I'm like, how the hell?
I don't know. But the weird thing for me was I thought it was just like kind of a disappointing ending. The crowd went nuts for Garcia's interference.
Yeah.
The heel comes in, runs in, hits the babyface with his belt to make him lose, and the crowd loves it. They're cheering for Garcia. Now, arguably,
it made no sense.
This could be because Garcia's from Buffalo, and Toronto is pretty damn close to Buffalo. There's probably a lot of people from Buffalo in that crowd. I went to college in Buffalo. We used to go to Toronto all the time. So
West Side Gun was in the crowd. I saw him.
Yeah, Buffalo.
So
again.
yeah.
So
Buffalo.
that might make sense, but to me, it was like it made me like almost enjoy it. Like I was feeding off the crowd. Like, okay, I don't agree with this, but this is enjoyable now because everybody else is loving it. So it's a little weird. It's just a weird thing happening in your brain. Like, I don't think I should be enjoying this, but I am.
Yeah.
And then Blackpool Croissant Club comes out.
Hey, Claudio still works for them.
Apparently.
I haven't seen Claudio for a while, and then he shows up and like, oh, look, there he is.
Yeah. So they come out.
Ever since he lost the belt, he wasn't really around.
Yeah. And they come out and chase the Jericho people out, and then that's over. Next, we have Nyla backstage with Vicky, and I think it was Marina Shafir. I don't know. She just stood there staring off in the wrong direction, and it was a
good promo by Nyla.
I thought Nyla's promo was great. She's very charming. I'm a fan of Nyla. I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was fun. And then Anna Jay interrupts. Sometimes you have to understand. It's like, I'm going to put this in terms for you, Richie. When you're a rapper and you're not that great, and you get somebody to guest on your song who's a lot better than you, maybe you shouldn't do that. Because you're like, okay, whatever, this is fine. And then then the guest comes on and just makes you look not as good. You know?
Yeah,
that to me was like Anna Jay came out and does a promo. It's like after Nyla did this great promo and Anna Jay comes out, and like, Nyla set the bar pretty high, and now you just did the same kind of stiff promo that you've been doing. And I don't hate Anna's promos, but like compared to Nyla, it didn't hit the bar that she set. Anyway, I don't remember what the promo was about. I guess they're gonna have a match, whatever. I don't know. Moving on.
Well, it's still the promo is was Anna Jay against her to, I guess, get the belt back. Oh, one thing I want to add, because I know I haven't really been adding too much, is that when Nyla,
sorry,
no, it's all right. When they show those little like ads on the corners of like the next matches or the future matches, I actually love the fact that they still showed Nyla with the belt, even though she's not the person who is the champion. It's still Jade. But I like the fact that they still showed her little icon with the holding the belt. I thought that was kind of funny.
That's a nice touch. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Sorry if I'm talking too much. This whiskey.
No, it's all good.
It's the whiskey, man. Blame the whiskey. No, you can blame me. I'm drinking the whiskey. I own it. After that, we had the only female match on the card. Hater and Britt versus Sheeta and Tony Storm.
Hater's over, and I didn't really care for the match. It was decent, but I mean, I could care less. I mean, it was a good match to me. I think DMD and Hater is really good. I think Sheeta was all right. I'm still not a fan of Storm, but it was a decent match, and I just want to see Hater get a push.
Hater, just like in the middle of like all of this, like, you know, fanfare for Hater, the crowd going crazy for her. I don't know why she didn't win this match. I don't know why she didn't get the pin. She'd have got the pin from what I recall. I didn't write. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, she'd have got the pin, and I don't know. I personally, like, I'm not a fan. I'm not into Sheeta. It never worked for me. I don't want to get too into it because I don't want to talk too much shit, but like Sheeta just doesn't do it for me. Hater's the one that's the most over in this and needs some kind of she needs some momentum. And they're not giving it to her. And so I don't understand the booking of this match.
So as we go into the last match, right? I have to say something.
Say it. Tell
when
it.
We
tell it on the mountain.
When we do the next time and we don't have notes, we probably would actually have most of the show about this match right here. This would probably the because you know how we always have one thing to focus on.
Yes.
This is probably what it is because the whole entire Wednesday was cool already, but this was the most talk about. I think is the Cassidy against Pac. I called it. I said, you know what? If this is the headliner, this is going to be a sure shot that Cassidy's winning, like right away, because I think they realized why would they have this match again? They would shoot themselves in the foot if they didn't have Cassidy win. So like once I saw that this match, because I didn't even know the card until like almost like 5 minutes before we watched it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely winning, and like it was just nice to see him win. I thought he is every time he's in a match, Cassidy always gets this is awesome chance, and it's always a grade A from the internet for their match. Every single time, like I have never seen a match that he's in that's not graded A and hearing the chance of this is awesome.
He doesn't have a bad match.
Ever.
I loved this match, and I didn't think the last match of theirs was that great. It's never bad, but like this was great, and I was worried because I felt like
everything he does.
Yeah, but I was worried because there wasn't a lot of time for this match. Like this match started with like 10, 12 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes.
And
Picture in picture. I'm like,
picture in picture.
Man, come on, give me this match. But I don't know. It didn't disappoint. It didn't lose anything for me. I loved it. I loved Danhausen coming out.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
I guess what was it? I didn't put this exactly in my notes. Pac went to the ring bell table to get the bell hammer, which he has been using to win matches recently. So he was going to use the bell hammer to win the match again on Orange Cassidy. And then Danhausen shows up to prevent him getting the bell hammer. And he has to take off like 5 layers of things to reveal that he's Danhausen, which is just makes it funnier. And that was great. Crowd's chanting for him.
I can't wait till he gets some more of a push.
I mean, and it works for me. I think this Danhausen works. He doesn't have to do a ton of matches. He can do stuff like this, get a big pop. Crowd loves it. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Just have him like show up, have him appear from under the ring. Like it's great. I love it.
He doesn't even have to take bumps and he's getting a paycheck. So,
yeah. And like, I don't know. I thought this match was a good way to end the show. Like there were some things in the show that were like, a lot of weird endings, a lot of dirty finishes, heels winning when I don't necessarily think they should have, but at least they ended the show with Orange going over, winning his first belt, whatever you think of this belt.
I don't care. He has a belt. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait to see his promos.
Yeah. And they did the hug with best friends came out, and that was great. And they did the hug. You got to give the people what they want. This was wonderful. I just loved it.
This was the highlight of the show for me. Like I said, I thought the rest of the show was decent and it was entertaining, but like nothing really stood out for me that much of the show. Like it was good, it was fun, but like that's why I didn't really have much to say, because it's like, okay, it was fun and whatever. But this was the talk about. This was like what all the articles was about. This is what all the news was about. Is this, you know? And I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for Cassidy. I'm happy for. I can't wait to see the promos. Can't wait to see the promos, because that's the promos are going to be amazing. Because I just picture him being like, okay, like, you know, like here's like you know how like when people hold the belts high, I could just see him like holding it like half-ass, like just to his like waist, and like, oh, here you go, like,
yeah,
you know.
Like, we talked about we did a whole episode on Orange.
Yeah.
And like I think people don't appreciate like how he's tapping into the zeitgeist with his like nonchalance and just like whatever attitude. Like it's everywhere when you look at it. And we talked about comparing him to Naito, how he would just drag out the belt when he had the Intercontinental belt, just like drag it behind him, like whatever, man. You see it everywhere. You see it the way kids dress now, walking around. I don't know, you might not see it because you don't live in a city, but you know, I see kids waiting at the bus stop wearing pajamas and Crocs on their way to school. You know, you've got like the whole mumble rap thing where it's like, yeah, whatever, I'm just being lazy, blah, blah, blah. Like it's so a part of the zeitgeist of America right now. And I just don't think people appreciate that.
Yeah, and he could really freaking wrestle though, and that's what I think it's amazing. Oh, another thing I just come to me is during the match, I actually loved the fact that Pac put Cassidy's hands in his pockets, and then his move. I thought that was amazing.
He did like the soft kicks.
Yeah, they have such a good chemistry together.
Great.
So when he did that, I was like, yeah, that was just fantastic for me.
You have to appreciate that. If you can't appreciate that, I don't know what to tell you. I think you just don't enjoy like two guys who are like the opposite ends of the spectrum having this kind of chemistry. It's fucking magic.
Well, it's also, think about it though. Cassie had magic with Will Ospreay. He had I feel people really love to wrestle with him because it puts him in a whole different dynamic. Yeah. And I think that most people will probably say, oh my God, like, yes, maybe not every single time, but I guarantee all of them really enjoyed working with him because it was a different type of what they're used to. And that's like true. That, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, that's why they always get 8 grade A's every time he has a match.
Yeah, you get that's a really good point. I love that point because you get to do something new. Right, Pac, Will Ospreay, they're not that different. Like guys who are just very technically sound, who can also do flips but are very graceful, versus and not like super gimmicky. Just like their gimmick is they're really good wrestlers. Where you know Orange Cassidy's gimmick is he's like a goofy dude who dresses in all denim and pretends like he doesn't care about anything. It's just very gimmicky, and those guys are very not gimmicky. But people like that who are like real, like, you know, for lack of a better word, craftsmen who are like very serious about their performance in the ring, they get to do something new, and they get to, you know, I think something for creative people that really makes them shine is when they're put in a new situation, when they're given new parameters to work with, when they're given new limitations to work within. And I don't know, I never thought of it that way. I thought that was a really good point. So people like that, they probably rise to the occasion and they put a lot more into those matches because they get to do more. They get to do something different. They get to do express themselves in a different way than usual.
Because I'm sure a lot of them do get envy that Cassie made it over where you could be silly and still get over and still be a good wrestler, where like you have like people like Will and Pac, well, they don't, but then also when they wrestle him, they actually can. So you can tell that Pac was actually really enjoying doing freaking Cassidy's moves. Like you could just feel that he was enjoying. So I think they really do love wrestling with him, and I think he's going to be. I hope they hit the belt on him for a little bit. I hope that they do a lot more. But yeah, to me that was the highlight of the show. Because that's definitely was. You could tell that that's what their main focus was that match. Because everything else was kind of like put together and this and that, but you could tell that they wanted to fix their wrongs because they realized that people probably wanted Cassidy to win the last time, so they said, "Okay, let's do this again." It was almost like the Acclaim incident where they realized, "Oh, okay, well, Pac already has the belt with the trios belt, so we could actually afford Cassidy to win," and then they have to play nice because all the shit that's going on and Triple H going for the juggler. So they're like, okay, how do we have some kind of pop? The biggest pop that we're going to have is having to win a belt. So therefore, I think that was the biggest pop because of that.
Of course, as we're finishing this, your feed starts fucking up. Of course. Now, one other comparison I want to make, though, because I know we're almost done. I hate to go back, but like your point really was poignant to me. Giving these people another way to be creative within these matches. Like for me, in my own personal experience, like somebody who plays music, like if I'm going to like write a song, whatever you think of the song, mostly it's just stupid punk songs, but like you sit down with your guitar and you write some riffs, like, okay, this is a cool riff, blah, blah, blah. But when like a friend of mine would send me, we started doing like on emails, like my friend, like, hey, here's drums. Fuck, the thing is getting fucked up. He would send me pre-recorded drums. And so I would write a song to the pre-existing drums, just something that you don't do often. And I wrote something. I would write songs that are so outside of my normal like style because I'm approaching it from a different starting point, because I'm usually just sitting by myself with my instrument. When somebody has a drum track already, that's a new starting point for me. I'm starting from a new place. My brain is approaching it differently, and it makes me do something I would never normally do. And that's just very satisfying.
Speaking of satisfying, and since this is we're going on tangents, and this is a 2-hour podcast anyway, it's ridiculous. But speaking of tangents, when you say satisfying, I am still waiting for a Weed Mountain album.
Okay, we putting this in there?
I'm just saying. But anyway, so what was your final thoughts of the show?
The show was mostly fine. Like, you know, there was a lot of things that I thought were like overall. Does it matter? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit what my thoughts are on the show? I'm half drunk. I've been drinking whiskey for 2 hours now since we started this fucking thing.
I know it was a little too long. Are we using this?
Yeah. Who gives a shit?
Gives a shit. We're just fucking shooting the shit anyway. You can probably take out half the shit in the beginning of the first one anyway.
All right, man. Well, you know, I don't know.
No. Honestly, it was a decent show. I actually enjoyed it. I think again, if Cassidy didn't win though, I think it would have changed the whole entire show for me. I'm really honest. If Cassidy lost and all the other ones would have been, and what your point in the beginning is, if the crowd wasn't so hyped and Cassidy didn't win, I would have said, this is just another regular show, just a bunch of matches I don't really care about, blah, blah, blah. But because the crowd was so hyped and Cassidy won, I thought that it was all the other matches was better.
The resilience of this crowd has to be pointed out, because like no matter how many, I know we're running out of time. Shut up. No matter how many things that would normally totally deflate a crowd happened, they were up the whole time. They might have deflated for a little bit, like, you know, after the Jungle Boy match, you felt the crowd kind of die down, but then they got back up for the next match. You know, one disappointment after another, or one kind of meh ending, but then they just got back up. The next thing, like, okay, whatever, that's over. On to the next thing. Woo!
Yeah.
I don't know why I wooed. That's
Well,
that's my
on that
impression
note
of a hyped up crowd.
of
But I'm gonna say this.
Ric Flair.
My last thought: the importance of the live crowd. Right? They need to do something to start selling tickets. I know the ratings, supposedly, from what I understand, are still around the same, but the ticket sales are not. The difference between the DC crowd and the Toronto crowd is huge. They need to put people in those arenas or they're going to start losing the ratings too. That's my take.
Last thought.
Yes.
My last thought is, where the fuck is Eddie Kingston?
South Bronx, the South